Hello, Dimitris.
Hello, Thodoris.
It's been a long time.
Long time no see,
Yes,
but
yeah.
we are back, Thodoris.
We are back in action.
Back in action, back in our podcast, in the air tonight. As you know
Yes,
very well, that's season something, season three,
yes.
as
It's,
we can
let,
say.
let's say season three. Yes,
Let's say
yes.
season three.
As it's the end of the season.
Oh, of course, no, it's the first episode of season three. That's
Okay.
official. Okay, so we are in the air tonight with Thodoris.
And Dimitris, of course.
So you can subscribe here, downstairs, and you can comment just the good comments, please. Of course.
And
So
what else they can do? They can ring.
they can ring the bell for the notifications. Ring the
Yes.
bell. In the Air Tonight is a musical broadcast for the rock scene and all its subgenres, Thodoris.
Wow. I like it.
Tonight with us, an amazing person, an amazing musician, an
Mhm.
amazing producer, Mr.
Do we have Spider-Man? No.
No, the next best thing in the music
Yeah.
industry.
The next. Okay. Okay.
The
Okay.
next best thing. So, tonight with us is Mr. Joost van Der Broek, producer and musician in Epica, in Powerwolf, in Ayreon, in Star One, in Blind Guardian, and the list goes on and on.
All right.
Good evening, man.
Good evening.
Hello. Hello
Hello.
from Greece. Hello, how
Hello
are
from
you?
Holland.
Oh,
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So
Well,
much.
thanks a lot for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
We too. For
me and
us too.
Thodoris, of course, me and Thodoris are big fans of yours. And
That's
you,
great.
Especially, sorry. It's Dimitris is a little bit more than me.
that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
He's a
I
real
like
template.
I like most your heavy power side,
I
not the
see.
progressive power
I
side.
see. All
But
good.
I loved Transitus.
Yeah.
That you were
Yes.
involved in that, of course.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
what can we say about Omega and Powerwolf's
Yeah.
last amazing album? But
Especially
that's,
Powerwolf. Yes.
yes, that's something for next questions, for our
Yeah.
next questions. Let's
Yes.
begin with our top fives, of course.
Mhm.
So, Joost, let me ask you about your personal top five albums, maybe according to production terms.
To production. Oh,
Yeah,
Or
that's
or
that's very
or
difficult.
or Dimitri, sorry. Of course, you can name 5 albums that you love.
That you love,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah. I have been thinking about that, and that is always so difficult. I think
Yes, we know
you
that.
will get you will get this answer.
Of course.
A lot, of course. And I mean, it's also, I can name a lot of albums, but to really like make the top list is impossible almost. So I have many sides, so to say. So I have a part of me that is really more into metal, obviously. And of course, I have a part of me that I'm born in the 80s, 82 actually. So I have a lot of 80s artists that I really like. One of them, I'm even wearing a T-shirt.
Okay.
Yes. We know them. We know them.
Yes. So and it's all these bigger names, of course, but well, production wise, it's actually a quite interesting interesting question. I think I'd never been asked that before.
That's a first. So that's
Yeah, and funny
Yes.
enough, production wise, it depends on what it. Of course, I've had my inspirations, so to say, and I have things that I really like to listen to that I think just sound amazing, but don't really have to do anything with the stuff that I work on. I've always been very much inspired, but again, that's a bit of a different style by Pink Floyd. One of the yeah, oh yeah. Well, one of the, I mean, of course, they always have had great productions for their time, but I must say, really like sound-wise, if I listen to the Division Bell, for example.
Oh,
The one without Roger Waters.
Yeah, I
yes.
mean, it's maybe not musically, it's maybe not my favorite, but production-wise, it's done so well. I mean, it's really really amazing. And I mean, of course, also, and it's a huge classic, but I've been very much inspired by the Black Album of Metallica. That
Okay.
always, I mean, you can say anything about it, but for me, I mean, when I heard that the first time, and also during my school time, it
Mhm.
was always an album that just sounded great and was amazing.
Have you shared the Blacklist playlist? The one that they have released
Oh yeah,
these
yeah, I
days?
saw it. Yeah, no, yeah, I didn't check it out, to be honest.
It has 5 hours of covers of
Yes.
Black Album songs. 5 hours.
5 hours. Yes, indeed.
5 hours.
And
That's great.
and many covers are
Amazing.
very amazing. Yes. Amazing.
Okay. I definitely will check that out. Actually, that's really cool. Well, to another album that really inspired me, and I still could listen to that every day, is
Mhm.
"Bad Out of Hell" of Meatloaf.
Oh.
I mean, when I remember that when I was in my teens, I of course I'm a piano player, I'm a keyboard player, so the piano parts in that song, and I mean in these songs, are just amazing and great fun to play actually.
Mhm.
And back then, I mean, I wasn't really aware of anything that could really combine this kind of, let's say, more the rock, symphonic rock side with so many pianos involved. I was really inspired by that. And of course, I've been a long time Dream Theater fan.
Hmm.
The first album that I heard, uh, I
Imagine Watch.
yeah,
Awake.
think I think actually I
No,
want to be
it
correct
should
about
be no,
this.
it should be Madison Awards because it's close to Metallica's and the Division Bell you mentioned.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah,
you see a little bit my taste in that. No, it wasn't Images and Words.
maybe
Actually,
Awake, the third one.
yeah, I think it was Awake that I
Yes.
heard first. I must say, also still production-wise, a really cool album. I like the kind of live attitude it has.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
also must honestly say that I kind of lost track of Dream Theater in the last 10 years, maybe. Uh,
Really?
yeah, I must say that uh, I don't I believe they lost a little bit of magic somewhere along the way.
After Mike
They
Portnoy, so
maybe my Portnoy, but also before I felt they were sometimes like very much inspired by a style like Pantera, Muse, and you could hear it like literally. And I thought, I don't know. I didn't like that about them because for me they were, doing their own thing. One of the albums I totally love is Metropolis Part Two, Scenes from a Memory.
of course,
That
everybody
for
knows
me
that.
is still a great album. It's not the best sounding album, to be honest, but conceptual and melodically everything. I love it.
According to you, production-wise, what is the best Dream Theater album?
Ooh, that's a bit hard for me to say because you go into a legacy of 30 years, so also a lot of things changed there. Um, I always really loved the albums before the year 2000. So actually, somewhere in between Awake and Metropolis Part Two, I really like that kind of sound, to be honest. So
Okay.
it's not too processed,
Yeah.
and it has a bit more attitude. It doesn't have too many production tools in it. It's just great playing and great performance and recorded in great studios with amazing engineers. I must say the later things they did, which they produced themselves, I was never that keen on that.
Many fans go with Octavarium. That is
Octavarium definitely also good, but to be honest, I already started losing Dream Theater
Yeah.
a little bit
I see.
around that.
Okay.
That time. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have one more.
Sorry.
Yes.
And you have one more.
One more, yes.
Oh, you're really counting my albums.
Yeah,
So
of course.
Yeah, okay. No, no, you can name more if you want.
well, let's name a metal album then, because
Okay.
what also really
Sorry,
was
sorry.
a big thing for me.
Metallica's Black Album was a metal album.
Yeah, but I mean a bit more heavier.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
For me, for example, Death Cult Armageddon of Dimmu Borgir was
Ooh.
a huge thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
You like
I
it?
mean,
You like this album for the songs or for the production or for both?
for both, to be honest, but it's mainly because I remember hearing the song, the I don't know if you know it, the Progenies of the Great Apocalypse.
Wow.
course.
Yes.
I mean,
Okay.
that was in the period actually when I was still with After Forever, and I heard that song, and for me, the worlds of metal and symphony came together as never before. And that was also one of the reasons, I mean, the reason, to be very honest, that with the last After Forever album that we did, we went to Prague to record the same orchestra as is on this record. And that was a great experience, obviously, a dream come true. But that was all inspired by Death Cult Armageddon. And I mean, I'm not even that much into like black metal per se. I must, to be honest. For me, it goes a few steps too far. But there are a few songs on there which combine a great way of arrangements, orchestration, and metal that
Yes.
are still today done so well, and it sounds great and everything. So
Indeed.
yeah. So, but yeah, I could name tens of albums. I mean, I also like a lot more like older music. Like I'm also a big fan of like Simon and Garfunkel, but that's a
really?
completely different order, of course.
Yeah, okay.
I've been listening a lot to, of course, also in the 90s to Nirvana and later on the Foo Fighters. I like Muse a lot, but I mean I also like all the wrong 80s bands, so to say. You know, I love them all. I don't care.
Okay. Music is something unique, so there is no wrong and right.
Yeah. And I mean, as a musician, that I'm also classically trained, so I also have always been listening a lot to classical music, both orchestral and piano. I also like operas every now and then, and of course, I'm for what I do, especially with the symphonic metal bands that I work with. I also am inspired by the great movie score composers. You know, I'm that side of music attracts me very much as well, and that's probably also something you can hear in productions that I do, like Epica, Powerwolf, where I also do orchestrations. Yeah, it's something that I really like to do, and that's a big passion of mine actually.
A little technical definition from me now, because I see that Omega and the last album of Powerwolf is wider in its way of making the instruments sound. Or in all the orchestration is wider. The reverbs, the holes, the choirs are wider, so more symbolic or more big as sound.
Yeah. Well, it's also a thing that has to do with making the right choices in arrangement. I mean, when you have a great arrangement, you could kind of pick out every part of it, although it's super full of with instruments and band. And I think that's one of the yeah, that's one of the things that you really try to develop as a composer and orchestrator, that you write the arrangement in a way that it can really fit together. And because of that, you can make things larger than life.
Yeah.
If they're too much in the way of each other, it just stacks up and it doesn't really add to each other. And I think, yeah, I'm also still learning and developing. So that's also probably something you do here. And of course, the bands that I work with are also still making steps and investing in even a better album and more time in the studio and more effort in recording real instruments and getting into all details. So yeah, all in all, that's something you can hear in the
Yes.
in the end result. Definitely.
Next step is surround mix.
Surround mix, well, definitely. I mean, surround mix is super interesting. The problem is that for the consumers, it's very difficult because I mean, a stereo, you kind of know what you can expect, but for a surround, it's there are so many different systems that it's impossible to kind of translate that. But there is something like in between surround and stereo, and that's called binaural.
Yes, of course. I
And
know.
that's actually using your stereo image, but still, trying to make it 3D. And that is,
The illusion.
Yes.
yeah, and that is actually something that is getting more and more into album mixes and also live mixes, actually.
Yeah, Steven Wilson does that a lot.
Yeah.
As further to your production role in albums, you are
Yeah.
also a keyboard player and a piano player.
Yeah.
So our next top five, and what we would like to ask from you is to tell us a top five of five piano players or keyboard players that you like.
Yeah. That's an interesting one as well. That actually goes also from all the way back to the 60s and 70s. So I've always been a big John Lord fan. Of course, I've always been listening to Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I've always liked that a lot. So definitely those two. And from there, I went into, let's say also the more how do you say, a bit more modern players, but also that is not so modern anymore. Of course I like Jordan Rudess a lot. He's amazing, as in the key, his technical skills are just crazy, so to say.
His arpeggio is from outer space. His arpeggio, the way he does this arpeggio to the end of the piano, it's
I mean, I've once attended like a gig that he did with just him on the piano, and he was just talking about his life and his career and played songs that fitted to that. And then in the end, it kind of ended all with his role in Dream Theater, and he played like some songs of Dream Theater on a piano, grand piano. How he did that was just completely amazing. I mean, he played his own part, but also the band. I was like, okay, I almost ended my career there.
But you didn't.
No, I didn't. I still try to keep up with that. So yeah, definitely. And let me think. I mean, of course, keyboard wise, I've always been very influenced by the old ones, like I said, Deep Purple, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Of course, Rick Wakeman belongs to that as well, very much. And then there's a little step towards actually the keyboard players of Dream Theater that really influenced me. I also really liked the attitude back then from Derek Cherinian. Although, you know, he might not be the perfect match, but I kind of thought it was an interesting thing. He really put some attitude in there. And to be honest, if I can name another artist that I'm always very influenced by as a keyboard player is Steve Vai, so the guitar player.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I've always listened a lot to Steve Vai and that kind of, let's say, generation.
Yeah.
So also Joe Satriani, etc. All those guys, but Steve Vai for me still is by far my favorite. His technique, his creativity, his his humor in music, his versatility, his attitude, anything. I mean, and all. Yeah, I'm very much inspired by that. I also started figuring out his solos on keyboards. I've always listened to his music. I mean, one of the albums that I also could still name is, for example, Passion and Warfare, and it's just a classic to me.
okay.
Yeah, so stuff like that.
Do you know that Steve Vai is one amazing orchestrator? He was
Yeah.
with Frank Zappa, of course.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
he's 18 years old, 19, something like that.
I know. I actually I saw some concerts. He did some concerts with the Dutch
Yes,
Orchestra,
sure.
the Metropole Orchestra, and that was great. I mean, I'm not so much into the more Zappa kind of orchestration, to be honest. I mean, I can really appreciate it, but it's not it's not really my taste, so to say. I really you have to be in the mood for that to appreciate it.
Yes.
But the orchestrated versions of his own songs, the Steve Vai songs, I think that was amazing, definitely.
Of course.
Okay.
And just one more guy.
Of course.
Another person that I'm very much inspired by, but in a different way. But I've always enjoyed listening to his music, and it's actually attached to Steve Vai as Devin Townsend. Devin Townsend, I mean, he has his own universe.
Of course.
The guy is just, I think he's amazing. He's a
He's
freak.
an alien. He's an alien.
Yeah, and he's a great player, great singer, great composer, great producer. He has his own style. He does whatever he wants and makes it sound like anything that you don't know. And I like that a lot.
Yes, that wall of sound, that vocal wall of sound of David Townsend,
It's
has
amazing.
no similar. Has no similar. So let's go to some quick dilemmas.
Yeah.
Very
So,
quick. Very quick.
Vinyl or CD?
Ooh.
That's a difficult broadcast. I've warned you.
Right now, I would say vinyl, because I, to be very honest, if I listen to music nowadays, I'm sorry to say that, but I listen to music mostly digital. But when I would buy something and when I receive an album that I produced on vinyl, I like it much more than on CD.
Okay.
CD, I don't do anything anymore, and vinyl I still have at home, and I enjoy to play that every now
All
and
of us. Being a producer or being a musician?
Right now, I would say bigger producer.
Oh.
Okay.
5 years before?
Oh yeah, like 10, 15 years ago, it was turned around.
Okay.
But now it's really like this. Yeah.
Okay.
Prog metal or prog rock?
I would say prog metal right now. I mean, what is prog metal anyway? I mean, but yeah, I think more the metal side. Yeah.
Okay. Jam in a studio or playing with a band live?
Play live. I actually, especially because in this style of music, jamming in symphonic metal or progressive metal, it's, I mean, it can be done, but I much more enjoy like the full show, the full performance, everything like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Keys or piano?
Ah.
Yeah.
If I have to really go by passion, so to say, my first love definitely was the piano. But I really enjoy, for example, playing Hammond organ and synth solos. So it's hard, but if I had to choose, yeah, definitely piano. Yeah.
You were amazing in Ayreon Universe.
Thank
In
you.
in that live, I was totally amazed by your playing because I know that
Brilliant.
Arjen. We've talked with Arjen,
Yeah.
and we know that he's such a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So that was something very difficult to do next to him. So yes,
I know. It's. I mean, I've worked with Arjen now for 20 years, since the first Star One tour that he did, and I've always been, working with him on the albums, and it's getting more and more actually. And doing these shows with him, but not only playing, but doing the whole organization together with him. Those are really highlights of my career.
so
Definitely.
Okay.
the obvious question. So Theodoris, let's go to the questions now because we
Yes, yes.
have a little time more. Sorry, Theodoris,
Yeah, yeah,
because
okay.
the next question is about what Joost. Oh, I'm forgetting
Joost,
the pronunciation. Yeah, the Joost
Okay.
have told us about. Are you involved to the next Star One album?
yes.
Oh, that's great news
So
because
there will be
Well,
a next
I'm not sure if I
Star
could
One.
tell
Yeah.
yet, but well,
because
it's probably
Arjen
no big surprise anyway.
Arjen
Okay.
is releasing the videos with the guests, but you are not there yet. But
Not
now
there
you
yet,
are.
so I already spoiled the answer, but
Okay, this broadcast will be released after that video.
it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
He won't mind.
Okay. As a producer, for the past few years, you have participated in Demons and Wizards
Yeah.
#3. Of course, the Epica, the last effort of Epica Omega, the last studio effort, sorry, and the last Powerwolf album. For you, what was the most difficult album to produce and finalize, and why?
Well, I think in a way that the Epica and Powerwolf album are a bit close when it comes to the whole process. But with Epica, we recorded all the instruments of the orchestration recorded live. So real
Mm-hmm.
orchestra, a real percussion, a classical choir, a children's choir, you name it, lots of woodwinds, acoustic instruments, whatever. And of course, that whole process is very exciting, but also very intense, very time consuming, and not always easy because you have a target, you have a moment where it needs to happen on. Some of these musicians are really not used to play this type of music. For example, we record the whole Indian ensemble. So these guys, I mean, they're really street musicians out of India. They're really not used to anything like this. So how can you guide them into the metal music? That's very challenging. So that was definitely a very interesting and challenging process, plus a very lengthy one. But actually, both albums partly were recorded in the pandemic. The Powerwolf album completely, the Epica album partly, and also that came with a lot of challenges, so to say. But we made it happen, and I'm really happy with that. So
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay.
So a double question. Which Ayreon album you enjoyed the most as a musician, and how difficult it is to work with such a perfectionist, such as Mr. Lucassen himself.
Yeah. Which Arjen album? Well, for me, I must say that I still really enjoy Into the Electric Castle. That is maybe also that's the first Arjen album I heard, so that might also be one of the reasons. But it's probably because it's a very kind of playful album. It's very colorful. It has great songs on it, and it's very versatile. It has a very nostalgic value to me as well. But I definitely also like the later albums, like the Binary album, the 01 album. I mean, I really like. I also really enjoy the Human Equation. I think that was a great one as well. A very nice conceptual album in a kind of a different theme than he had before. Plus, I've always liked the Star One albums a lot. The heavier side, a bit more band-driven, a bit more straightforward. That album that is coming out somewhere soon will also be like that, which it's gonna be really cool. Working with Arjen for me has never been difficult. I mean, we have always respected each other very much, and we are both always aiming for the best, and we trust each other a lot. We are very honest to each other, and we know we're both honest, and we don't have a double agenda. We don't have egos that clash. And we are having a bit of the same taste in a lot of things. So even though we differ about 23 or 4 years, I mean, I consider him one of my best friends, and we can hang out and chat like we're from the same age.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's much more than just a working relationship. I mean, I work with him in various levels, as a musician, as a producer, as like an organizer, you know, as a production manager, so to say, and that all goes really well. And I hope to be working with him for many more years. So,
How was your collaboration with Blind Guardian?
yeah, Blind Guardian.
Because it was a very special song.
Yeah, but did you already know that I also did the whole album mix of their upcoming album, their new studio album?
Oh, we didn't know that.
We didn't know that. Wow.
That's actually a scoop, probably.
Thank you.
So yeah, I with Blind Guardian, I actually met Hansi. I think in 2010 when I was doing a small album presentation with Arjen. We did it in a small club, just acoustically with some musicians.
River of Pain, etc.
Yeah, and I met him, and since I was a kid, I've always wore shirts of Blind Guardian. I was very much into them. I was really liking the kind of attitude they had in their metal style, a bit of the punky attitude, but then with the big vocals, you know, the choirs, and later on the Celtic instruments, the orchestrations. So when I met him, I was a bit of a fanboy back then. And I met him again in 2017 for the Ayreon Universe show. And we really connected in a way. He's a great guy, super nice, very down to earth, very interested. You know, this guy is just super sweet. And from there, we had a good experience in the Ayreon Universe. We stayed in touch, and at some point he asked me to work live for Demons and Wizards, because they were going to do this summer tour. And of course I was very honored, We did headline Wacken in 2019, which was a
Amazing.
great experience. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. That was really cool. And then actually in the beginning of 2020, he asked if I would want to do some pre-production for Blind Guardian. And we did. That was actually right before the pandemic. And we worked on a few songs. And that went really well. So we went on working. And then this year, actually, I noticed that they were searching for a mixer to do the album. And they wanted to do that in a mixed pitch. So they asked, I think, 6 engineers to do 2 songs. And they picked my songs. And
Wow.
they asked me to do the whole album. And for me, that was like a dream come true because, you know, I've always been a fan. And so it grew in a kind of organic way, you know.
Yes.
Kudos, man.
Like
Kudos,
that.
kudos. That's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I think the first single will be released in the end of this year. And yeah, in between, actually, that's what you mentioned probably, that we did the Christmas single.
Christmas. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which
That
was
in the
lovely.
end of last year. That was just to have fun.
The video clip was fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
I laughed so much. In
Yeah, that
the
was actually a
you
little
understand
step
this.
in between, but that was just having a lot of fun for a few days,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that was cool. Yeah, that was really cool.
So as we're coming to the end, we'll
Yeah.
need a few more minutes from your precious
Yeah, that's
time.
fine. That's
Few
fine.
more-
I can stretch it.
So
Thank you.
we're going to our final official question and some technical ones
Yeah.
for the producers
All right.
that are
Yes.
watching the show. So the final
Sorry, Dimitris, as he's a musician, he will ask you the technical questions, and I
Yeah.
will tell you the other one.
Okay.
So, Tori, please ask about a woman that I love, and
No,
I need to
Yeah,
know.
no,
many
no,
things.
okay. Tell him what you want to know technically, and leave everything to me after that.
So the technical questions. Yeah.
I'm very curious now.
Yeah. You will see later on. You will see.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to the technical questions. You can answer quick,
Yeah.
whatever you want. Which is your favorite DAW recording software?
It depends, actually. I'm when I do multi-track and multi-track editing, I always use Pro Tools. When I pre-produce, orchestrate, and record vocals and edit them, I use Logic. And for mixing, I actually use both. So sometimes Pro Tools, sometimes Logic, but always in a Pro Tools-based environment, so to say. So the whole hardware side is Pro Tools.
Okay, which are your favorite VST plugins or instruments?
Ooh, there are a lot, I must say.
I-
You mean the sampler instruments, right?
Or sampler, or for production?
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of FabFilter. They make great plugins. I use them a lot. I also use.
Pro Q3 is an amazing EQ.
Yeah, definitely. And I love a lot of the universal audio plugins, the emulations of the, you know, with the DSP card. Yeah, those are a few of my favorites, but I mean, I can name so many, but definitely those two are very high on my list. I also have a lot of plugins that I use from Brainworks. That are a few really nice plugins there. So yeah, and then the instruments really depends on what I need, but for orchestrations. For example, I'm a big user of the East-West Composer Cloud.
Of course.
Yeah,
And the choirs are amazing.
Stuff like that. I really like the BBC Orchestra from Spitfire. I love LA Scoring Strings, Symphobia, stuff like that. Yeah, definitely.
So, Apple or Windows?
Definitely Apple. Otherwise, I wouldn't have one program that would
Logic.
work.
Logic.
Yeah, it's all Apple. Yeah, it's all Apple.
Yes, I've noticed that. So,
Yeah.
do you prefer the analog or digital way of recording?
I always use a hybrid, so everything until the computer is completely analog. So the of course a great microphone, great preamp. I also like to have an EQ or compressor in between, and then of course a great converter, and then it starts to be digital. But I try to use the analog domain as much as possible. But in the end, I record on digital, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the final technical one is about the remoting recording process
Yeah.
of Simone vocals. How
Yeah.
did you do that?
Well, it was actually set up that there was an engineer in Germany. I was sitting in Sandlane, and we had a few cameras hanging around, so to say. We could
Big brother, big brother.
yeah, we could see each other, we could talk to each other. And the engineer shared his screen with me where he was working on. So I could either control it, but I actually didn't do that too much. I let the engineer kind of control the DAW. I was coaching Simone, and I was writing down the takes, having the lyrics next to me, all that kind of stuff. And then after a song, the engineer would send the session to me.
Mm.
And then I would comp it. I would pick out the takes, make one take, and the next day we would come back, and maybe I had some things that we had to redo or work on another song. So that's how we actually did the remote recordings.
Wow, what a procedure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it worked. It's not ideal, and it's definitely a bit less fun because I really like to connect with the person that I'm recording,
Yeah,
try
always,
to
yes.
feel the vibe, and through a laptop, it's a bit difficult, but I mean, it worked. It worked really
Yeah.
well.
At least it was a nice experience, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Before our last question, we would like to thank you so much.
You're
so
welcome.
much for
Well,
being
it's a lot
here
of fun,
tonight with
guys.
us.
I
It was
enjoyed it.
such an honor. And we would like to share with us some moments or anything you want to say to our fans or to the listeners for After Forever.
Yeah.
And we would like your personal opinion or Floor Jansen's evolution.
I love that woman. I love her. I love her.
Yeah, who doesn't love Floor? She's very lovable.
Of
Have you
course.
watched the show? Have you watched the best Zangers? Something
Yeah,
like
yeah, of course.
now is Anneke
Yeah,
in that show.
yeah.
The
Okay.
second love of mine.
Okay.
No, Dimitris, you have another love, but we cannot reveal it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The singer.
No,
the
I mean,
singer.
I've known Floor for over 20 years now, and since the first time I met her, of course, I was amazed by her vocals and her performance. But I got to know her as a really, really lovely, sweet girl. That is just, she has this rock star side where you think, okay, I better better leave her and not come too close. And she has this very down to earth, very like home kind of. She likes to be at home and just be herself, or the most normal thing she enjoys, and that's what I really like about her. She has those two sides in a very strong way. But of course, I mean, she's one of the best vocalists in rock or metal or whatever you
In
In the
universe.
universe, yes, in the globe.
universe, probably.
Yeah.
In Ayreon's universe, for sure.
I've always worked with her with so much pleasure, not only musically but also on a personal level. And I mean, when After Forever broke up, that was a very difficult time for her. And it was really hard to see her like that, because a singer like that, which can't really give herself anymore, heartbreaking to see, really. But luckily, well, we started doing the revamp albums, which I wrote together with her and also produced. And of course, that was still a difficult period. You have to start again, you know, that wasn't always easy.
Reboot.
But then at some point, she got asked for Nightwish, and she flew into this crazy, like, American show just in 2 days after they asked her. And I mean, I was just so excited for her that she got this chance. I mean, of course, she should be on a stage like that. She should be in a band like that, portraying her talent and her voice and performance and everything.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I mean, I'm just really happy that she got that opportunity. She already made some albums. She did great tours. It's of course has been a super difficult year, but in the meantime, she also got really well known in Holland.
Yeah.
That's maybe that doesn't mean that much to you, of course, coming from Greece.
Yeah.
But she was never. No one knew Florianse in Holland.
Okay.
Can't understand that. Yeah.
And now she's a household name. So
Yes.
really
From the
cool.
show, from the best singers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the After Forever era? Can you tell us some any moments you remember, any fun things, any strange things, anything?
Well,
Any story you can tell to our listeners?
Well, I mean, I mean, especially around recording the last album, it was crazy. I mean, we spent weeks and weeks and weeks just sitting, living together in a house, going back and forth to the studio, and we got all these crazy. How do you say it? Like, let me look it up. I don't know the word. Like you're betting for something. Oh, I bet you can't do that. Oh, you can do that.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, and that went worse and worse and worse. So people had to do the craziest things.
Yeah.
It was a little bit out of boredom, but also out of just being crazy with each other, and that was just amazing. I mean, when I think about that time, we had a really good time. We got a great opportunity to work like that. We were free to do anything we wanted. We could work with everyone we wanted and record anything we wanted. And then, of course, especially in the last years of After Forever, we did a lot of touring. Mostly South America was crazy. Back then, we were one of the earlier bands of this genre that went that way, so to say. So people were ecstatic. I mean, we really felt like like the biggest rock stars on earth.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Actually, just let me give you one,
of course,
very big insight.
Wow.
We are working on something that officially comes from the band.
Oh, you are working right now?
Yes.
Oh.
So I can't. I mean, it won't be something completely new, but it will be released out of the After Forever name in the official way.
Wow.
With also our signature, and it will probably be promoted somewhere soon. But yeah, we're pretty excited about that.
Thank you for sharing that to our show.
Yeah. And maybe can you reveal any other album that you will be the producer in the future or not?
Well,
no, sorry. If you can, but it will be.
Not really. I mean, the biggest scoop I already gave, and that is the new Blind Guardian.
The new Star one, and the new Star one.
New Star one as well. I will be very involved in that one as well.
So we are very happy that you were last night.
Oh, it's my pleasure, guys.
You are a great guy, a great musician, and a great producer.
Thank you.
And we will
happy to meet you in person if you will ever come to Greece.
Great. let's hope we can somewhere in the future.
Yes.
Of course, of course.
I think sometime we will meet each other.
Yeah,
This
we should.
pandemic will end.
Yes.
It should end. It should.
It should end, definitely.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Have a
Same.
nice
Goodbye.
evening. Thanks
Have a
again
nice evening.
for your interest.
Bye, 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 bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
What an easygoing guy, Dimitris.
Always you are beginning our
Yes.
outro with the same sentence.
No.
Yes,
No,
of course,
Dimitris.
always.
No.
Please, listeners and viewers,
Okay.
check all the previous episodes of In the Air Tonight, all one by one, just to check that same sentence in every episode.
Don't blame me that we have all the amazing guests of
Yes,
the
that's
globe.
true. That's-
Don't blame me.
That's
Okay.
totally true.
Come
Put
on. Don't
the
blame
blame
me.
on Fabrice.
Okay.
Put
Okay.
the blame on
Tell me your opinion. Tell me your opinion.
I
Tell
will
me
tell-
about our guest. Tell me.
Okay.
Hmm.
He's a very easygoing guy, Fabrice.
Ah.
A very easygoing guy.
Okay.
Joost is an amazing artist, of course. But now we've learned that he's an amazing guy as well.
Yes.
He's shared with us many things that will blow your mind.
Yes.
He will be the producer to some amazing albums that are going to be released in the next few months, we can say. And
Mhm.
everything from that broadcast, In the Air Tonight. Thank you for the last season. Thank you for the next season, because In the Air Tonight is a rock broadcast with amazing guests from all the rock scene and its subgenres. Ring the bell here, down, ring the bell, ding, 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 ding for the notifications. Leave your comments. That was In the Air Tonight with Fabrice.
And Dimitris. And sorry, you will not say thank you to your mom, your relatives, your friends
No.
for the Oscar. No.
I'm waiting for the Grammy. I'm waiting for
Okay.
Just
Ah,
for that.
yes. As you are a musician, you're waiting for a Grammy. Yes, my mistake. Sorry.
So, thank you, Fabrice, for being with me tonight.
Me too, Dimitris. Thank you.
So,
Good night.
Till the next time. That was Joost van Der Broek. I said it all. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Fabrice. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.